This is episode number 11, which is really hard to believe, of the Just Man Up show, and it is called Controlling the Cancer of the Mind. And as I've said already, multiple times already, honestly, of all the Man Up episodes I ever do, this one might be probably the most beneficial for you, the one that you're going to find most helpful. And I really want you guys to pay close attention, and I'm going to have you actually do some exercises here in a minute, and I want you to do these exercises with me because it's really important for you to understand your ability to manipulate and to control your thoughts and how much your thinking has to do with your success or your lack thereof. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to open up with this. I'm going to open up with a little exercise, and I want you guys to do this. I want you to take a minute, and I want you to picture yourself on a beach, all right? Your favorite beach in the whole world. For me, it's probably in Bora Bora in Tahiti, and I want you to picture yourself sitting on that beach, soaking up the sun. The sun is just like beaming down on you. You've got an ice cold pina colada in your hand, and things are great, and you're super relaxed. There's not a cloud in the sky. The water is as clear as can be. You got an ice cold pina colada in your hand. You got a little buzz going on, and you're just sipping on that drink. You have your wife or you have your husband right next to you. Your kids are out playing in the water. You're not thinking about business. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just sitting there and enjoying the moment and soaking it in. And you think about that, and probably right now, as you're picturing yourself in this incredible environment, in this incredible place, probably a peace comes over you, right? It does for me. So if I'm picturing myself in Bora Bora, man, I'm super relaxed because I've been there before. I'm super relaxed, like I'm positive, and things are great. Like my demeanor is really good right now. I feel really good. And I'm going to do something I'm going to make you feel a little uncomfortable, and I'm going to make myself feel a little uncomfortable for a minute. So the next exercise that I want you to do is I want you to think about an experience from your past that was not so enjoyable. So maybe it was something that you went through that was really, really hard for you to deal with. For me, I got to go back to my past with bullying, right? I'm picturing in a moment where I walked into the bathroom, and I shared this on one of the Just Man Up episodes. I walked into the bathroom, I was in 5th or 6th grade. The group of bullies followed in after me, and I just knew something was gonna happen. And I go up to the urinal, and they push me into the urinal, and I pee all over my sweatshirt, right? This is not a good experience for me. But when I think about something that happened bad in my past, that's something that comes to mind. And you're probably thinking of a moment, something that you went through personally, where it was not a good experience for you. I wanted you to do these two exercises because I wanted you to understand how much you can manipulate your thoughts and how much of an impact it has on you personally. So in the first example, where you were sitting on the beach, this was just an incredible feeling, right? Afterwards, you just felt relaxed. You felt great. You felt happy. But as soon as you switched to thinking about something that was bad in your past, all of a sudden, your demeanor changed. You start to get tense. You start to get anxious. On one side, I'm relaxed and feeling great. On the next, I'm feeling tense and anxious and negative. What happened? I manipulated my thoughts. I purposely was thinking about something good. It made me feel great, and then I purposely thought about something bad, and it made me feel like shit. So most people just don't understand that each of us has the ability to control and manipulate our thoughts. And this is important, guys. You gotta understand that your mind can be your biggest asset, or it can be your biggest enemy. And the problem is, when it's your biggest enemy, that is when negative thoughts just completely consume your mind. So for example, in that second example that I had you do, that second experience that I had you do, thinking about your past, some bad part about your past, the people who let this consume their mind, and by the way, this goes back to the title, Controlling the Cancer of the Mind, because negative thinking in the end is cancer of the mind. And that bad experience that you thought about, the people who are constantly negative, the people who are suffering from depression, the people who are suffering from anxiety, are letting thoughts like that constantly consume their mind. So it's almost to the point to where every single thought that you think is something that is negative. And those negative thoughts, there's so many negative thoughts floating around that you're in your head, there's no room for any positive thoughts. And you don't allow those thoughts to come in. So as soon as you might start thinking something positive, all of a sudden, these negative thoughts are like, get the hell out of here. And it gets to the point to where it literally becomes a cancer of the mind. Once you start to think negative, It spirals out of control, and it's almost impossible to stop being negative. And again, and this is why so many people suffer from depression and have to get on medication, and so many people suffer from anxiety and panic attacks, because they just let these thoughts, these fears constantly consume their minds. And I see it all the time with the work that I do as a coach. I see it all the time with the people that I work with in business and on the fitness side of it. The negative thoughts control their mind and they can't get out of their own way. And when you're constantly consumed by negative thoughts, nothing else can happen. No success, no amount of happiness, no relaxation can happen if you constantly let negative thoughts just consume your mind. You let these negative thoughts become a cancer of your mind. So back in, I think it was when I was 15 years old, and I'm not going to get into this story because I've shared this many times. Before that, after being bullied and everything, I went through a lot of rough times in school. I read The Magic of Thinking Big, and it changed my way of thinking, alright? So after the age of 15 on, I slowly learned how to control my thoughts, and I started replacing those negative thoughts with the positive ones, and it got to the point to where positive thinking literally controlled my life. And there was one example to where that changed. There was one time to where that changed, and it was recently. And I'm going to be frank with you guys. When I started having symptoms with Lyme disease, and not knowing what exactly was happening to me, and feeling sick on a daily basis, and feeling pain, and feeling fatigue, and having all these doctors tell me that I'm just going crazy, and not knowing any answers, I suddenly let some negative thoughts just get back into my brain. And I couldn't stop thinking about what was happening to me. And I couldn't stop thinking about being sick. And I couldn't stop thinking about hurting. And I couldn't stop thinking about, well, what is going to happen to me? If I'm progressing this fast, am I going to be alive in a year now? And all of these negative thoughts just came rushing into my head. I mean, honestly. And any positive thoughts were pushed to the side. And anxiety and panic attacks are actually something that a lot of people who deal with Lyme, that they deal with. And it's funny, I don't know if it's an actual side effect of Lyme. They say it's a side effect of Lyme, but at the same time, I think it has to do with mostly letting the negative thoughts consume your mind. So this happened to me to where I let these negative thoughts of being sick and all this consume my mind to where I no longer thought positive. Anxiety set in, panic attacks set in, all these other symptoms set in because I was just literally just consumed with negative thoughts. And it got to the point to where it was awful for me, guys. I mean, it was just totally awful. Going through that whole experience was not something that I enjoyed doing. But at the same time, I look back and I'm like, man, if I would have just learned and applied, if I would have applied what I learned back when I was 15 years old and what I've been doing for so many years, I could have avoided all this anxiety and I could have avoided the panic attacks and I probably could have got on the right track of healing quicker than I already did. But I couldn't because every single thought that was coming into my mind was a fear. I was scared. I was thinking about being sick. It wasn't, I'm going to get better. I know I can do this. I know there's a purpose of me going through that. Those positive thoughts were being pushed out by these negative thoughts. And eventually got to the point where I'm like, I literally have to control my thoughts again. I have to be positive about this. I have to put a positive spin on it. No matter what I do, I have to figure this out. And I did. And I think you guys can see, I think you saw the change because it was almost like one day I woke up and I said, enough is enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I started pushing all the negative thoughts aside and I made a conscious effort of every time that I started thinking a negative thought, I stopped myself and I replaced it with a positive thought. And that's an exercise that I really want you guys to do, especially those of you who are dealing with anxiety and depression and negative thinking. You literally have to gain control of your thoughts. Again, if you don't gain control of your thoughts and start thinking positive, you're never going to be able to move forward with anything, whether it's business, fitness, or relationships. It's just not going to happen. So anytime a negative thought comes and pops into your mind, you have to stop yourself right here and you have to say, enough is enough. I'm going to think of something good. If you start thinking about these bad things from your past, stop yourself and picture yourself on that beach. Picture yourself on that beach with a pina colada in your hand and enjoying life and that sun just beaming down on your face. You have to get into the habit of doing this because too many people, most people walk around this freaking planet, this country in a negative mindset. And you just can't allow that to happen. So for those of you who are dealing with negative thinking and just being down on yourself all the time, you got to understand that you do have the ability to manipulate your thoughts. I already proved that in the 2 things that I had you do in the very beginning. I literally told you to think about being on the beach and it made you feel happy. And then I stopped you and I told you to think about being in just something from your past, being in a negative mindset. I forced you into that, but I wanted to do that to prove to you that you all have control over how you think. And once you understand that you have full control, then you can start the rehabilitation process. Then you can start moving in the right direction, but you do have control. There's some time, guys, listen, I'm still dealing with symptoms from Lyme, and it's not bad, but it's enough to where my mind, it wants to go back to that place and think about, man, I'm still dealing with this stuff. Like, what's going on? It's so easy for me to slip back into that bad place that I was in. I just won't allow myself. So when it happens and I start thinking about these things, I literally tell myself I have control of my thoughts. And I replace those with something positive. And I'm telling you, you get into the habit of this and your life will change before your eyes. When you let positive thinking control your mind, success will come. Happiness will come. Feeling good about yourself will come. Self-confidence. All of that will come. Will it be a journey for a lot of you? Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be something that's going to be easy to do, especially if you are someone who is in that state to where it is a cancer of the mind, where negative thinking is the only thinking that you do. Those are the only thoughts that consume your mind. And if you're one of those people, it's going to be a lot harder for you. And you're going to have to slowly get your way to replacing all those negative thoughts with positive ones. So going from a negative thinker to a positive thinker. It's going to be a process. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a hell of a lot of patience, just like with everything else. With fitness, it's the same way. With business, it's the same way. Well, I'm telling you, you could do these things. You have control. We all have control over our thinking. So that's it, guys. I mean, I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please share. If you have any questions for me, you can reach out to me on Facebook. Just message me. I answer all messages within 24 hours. You can email me, josh@joshspencerfitness.com. My website is joshspencerfitness.com. I hope you guys found it helpful. And again, if you found this helpful, share it with your friends. But that's it, guys. Until next episode, we'll see ya. Bye.